Oh, I did it again. All right, well, we're live. We're live. Nathan is getting water. We'll get the show started soon. I got to get a little quicker on the draw and like pushing my button to get to the scene because like I was horrible. That was straight up horrible. But we'll get better. Right? We'll get better, chat. We'll wait for Nate. Got 2 viewers. How you all doing? Any mods in the chat? Do we get good volume? Do I need to turn our music down at all? Can you hear my voice over the music? Is the music too loud? I lost Nate. Oh. Technical difficulties, chat. Technical difficulties. We'll be back. I think his computer shut off because he was too far gone from it. Getting water. So we'll wait on chat. Or we'll wait on Nate. Let's see here. I don't need that. I don't need that up. I can just put it like that. Because I can see myself. Nathan. You've been here the entire time. Okay, so let me hang up. Go back to Discord.
Hello?
Okay, well, that was weird.
That was really bizarre.
Very bizarre.
I literally sat down, it popped up on my screen, and it was an empty chair, yet I was sitting in my chair.
Odd. Oh, let me get you over here.
Dr. Lupo Inception going on or something.
Alright, jumping lurk while finishing up dinner. Cool, Jimmy. Are we good one? I mean, I don't know if you're still there, if you can hear any kind of volume. If not, we're good. I think we'll just start rolling. Volume. I think we're good. I think we should be good. We'll find out. Here it goes. Alright, so this is episode 7 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. We are at September 9th pull. Nate's a little soft. Audio sounds good. Let me see here. I can bring him up just a little bit. Put you back. Oh, are you still
Not
there?
Too much.
There we go. Okay.
Yep. 69 is where I prefer to be at.
I know. But sometimes we got to bring up a little bit past that. So.
Damn.
All right. So we're on pull. We're on episode 7. September 9th is the pull week. And we're just going to get right into it. Last week we ended our official issues of Empire, but we still had a tie-in that we need to talk about. And then we have 2 Fallout and Aftermath issues that basically are the ending. But we'll get into
the end.
We'll get into it. So, starting off with Captain Marvel Empire issue number 21.
All right, you're right.
Called it, right?
Not bad, you were right.
I mean, it was kind of obvious, dude.
I thought it was too obvious.
And that's why I didn't pick it.
Do you have the spoiler variant?
I have it here.
Do you have it handy?
Do you want me to just show it?
I mean, I think that would be a good way to start.
All right, so if you are watching this right now and you have not read Captain Marvel 21 and you plan on doing this, we are about to spoil something huge. I've got a cover spoil, basically, and if you don't want to be spoiled, again, I hate to see it go, but I don't want to ruin it for you. 3, 2, 1. This is the spoiler cover, and that is L'Oreal as the new accuser.
It's a goodie.
It's a really good cover. I freaking love this cover. I'm glad I picked it up. But anyway,
too, huh?
Dude, if we decide to ever send some books back to CGC again, probably gonna send this one. Anyway, so we were left with basically the accuser team, Hazmat, War Machine, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel helping or coming back to Earth to help L'Oreal fight off the Kotati invasion that hit Central Park, I guess, or like near one of the parks in New York. So that's where we pick up. So we're kicking some major Kotati butt, and we kind of, I wouldn't say go through the motions, but we're having dialogue and sorry, I had like do one of those burp vomits.
Oh yeah,
It sucks. Anyway, and through this, they're kind of they're keeping themselves like they're keeping up, right? Like Man of War and Hazmat and Spider Woman are kicking some major ass, and suddenly when they're kind of getting ready to make a big push, they all start feeling they're in pain, and they don't know why. And then they look over, and Captain Marvel is being subdued by the Kotati, and she dropped the hammer. I think that's what happened. And so with her dropping the hammer, they kind of lose their powers because she's getting her butt kicked.
yeah.
And the hammer falls at the feet of L'Oreal. How do I say her name properly? L'Oreal.
Yeah.
And she has like an internal conflict, essentially. She's like, do I pick it up? Do I pick up the hammer? Or do I just keep on fighting the way I am with my fists? But the hammer is calling to her. It's beckoning her to pick it up. And at some point, you just got to like bite the bullet, listen to the voices, and just do it and see what happens, right? Because sure, her sister probably could beat her up if she goes evil, right? For sure.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, she picks it up and full-on final transformation, new form, whatever you want to call it. Goku with really long hair. L'Oreal is now the new accuser, and she is kicking ass. You know,
I love that when she picks it up, it's like straight like 1975 Avengers. Like her whole suit changes, like her whole costume. She's got big giant fucking iron arms now. Like it's not just hey, I'm powerful. It's like
my outfit,
the whole wardrobe change.
Yeah, my outfit didn't just turn green like Captain Marvel. Like she full on looks like the accuser. And again, like
it's cheesy, but I really like it.
Dope. Anyway, so she's clearly made for this job. No, I mean literally. And she starts swinging the hammer and starts kicking some butt. And so is Marvel, and everybody else is kind of like back to their original selves, but they're not really. You know, they haven't gotten any damage out of I mean, it was painful for them to lose the hammers, but they haven't like sustained any major damage doing so. So they do one final push. They kind of do like a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers / Captain Planet move where they all shoot their energy out and they're all different like colors of the rainbow. Boom! And they defeat the evil Kotati, and we finished that basically I wouldn't say very quickly. I feel like this issue did the resolve. I feel like it didn't like in Avengers Empire and Captain American Empire. The end of it was like, and we're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the pacing was good in this.
The pacing in this was so much better than those books. And I think it has to do with also it being part of the main line of stories. It wasn't like a 3-issue tie-in. It was written in the ongoing series.
Right.
So I think there was a little bit more detail to put into it.
I think that's a good point too, really quick. When you allow creators to continue to tell their own stories of their current characters, you end up with a lot better tie-ins. Kelly Thompson being able to write the Captain Marvel tie-ins, the fact that we didn't have a Empire Captain Marvel, I think is what made this a lot better. Same thing with the entire X team, taking on their stuff. I think we could have used Jason Aaron writing his Avengers in this event that was supposed to be half Avengers.
No doubt. And was Jason Aaron the other? No, it was Ewing and Slott that were doing this. Was their event.
And
that's
Slott,
so odd.
Fantastic Four is Slott's book, and Ewing has written Avengers before a couple of different times, but still, I know that's not how it works. That's not how any event has worked so far. But I just feel like we need to all be on the same page. If we're including in a big degree, when your headlining title is the Avengers and Fantastic Four and Empire, the main writer of those books at the current time need to be.
I mean, I guess it's. I wonder if it's because Jason Aaron is so involved in Fist of Khonshu, and it's such a big almost a mini event in itself. And then with the Phoenix coming up, maybe they just didn't want to put it on his plate. But I agree with you though. Like Empire Avengers needed Jason Aaron. Like that was rough. I thought the first issue of Avengers Empire was really good, but then the last two I remember just being, it just kind of like the writer was just get over it. You know what I mean?
Even the miniseries though, I'm fine with him not being on there because it wasn't. For the most part, it wasn't his current Avengers lineup. You know,
correct.
It was like the B list and the C list.
Yeah.
But like, I know that this was supposed to be Slott and Ewing's opportunity, but like, again, there's a lot of big stuff going on in Jason Aaron's Avengers right now, and when you're using, Black Panther is central to his run right now, and in one he's, almost getting killed and dying to. Moon Knight, and then in this one he's dying to Kotati at the same time. It just
and Ron brings up a good point. He says, I think COVID really screwed up the schedules for the writers in the books. No doubt. Yeah. And this is small potatoes.
For sure.
But outside of all the tie-ins, I feel like Captain Marvel and what was the other one? There was another one that was pretty strong. Well,
X-Men.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is Captain Marvel had the best direct tie-in to Empire.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it literally, and same with Fantastic Four. That's what it is. Captain Marvel and Fantastic Four both had just the best way of connection to the event itself and having consequence going into the event. Whereas X-Men was fantastic, but
right, it didn't have so much consequence.
Didn't have much of consequence. I mean, Hickman killed it, but it didn't really have anything to do with, like, we never saw any implications of the X-Men outside of someone saying Magneto and the mutants squashed the Kotati resistance on the moon, so we're good. But anyway, they finish off the Kotati. We kind of get a time jump. Captain Marvel gets the hammer back from L'Oreal because she knows it's not right. Even though it feels right, she knows it's not, what's the word or the phrase?
It's not hers to take.
It's not hers to take. She wasn't bestowed. It wasn't bestowed upon her. It was given to Captain Marvel. So we kind of jump to it, and we are assuming that Teddy basically gives her the hammer and says, "You can be my accuser. Clearly, this is your role. Captain Marvel has a lot of other things on her plate, and I need somebody that's basically you, who has been built for this job." So then we get L'Oreal showing up in Captain Marvel's secret lair and surprising, or no, maybe it was the apartment. No, it was the secret lair.
Secret lair, yeah.
Secret lair, and accused as the accuser. Correct. It's almost like it's kind of like you were the sinner, and now you are, even though she was framed. So she shows up at Captain Marvel's magic cave, her palace of solitude, or I know I'm saying that wrong. And they're kind of catching up with each other, and Captain Marvel, I think L'Oreal requests to go see their mother, essentially, at her grave, and they go to their mother's grave, and she has some really touching words in a moment with dirt. But she basically thanks her mother for giving her a sister and for throwing her a lifeline and basically making her feel like a real Kree rather than a test tube baby. And you can see Carol kind of being like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I went into this war having nothing, and now I actually have some family. I have some family that is in front of me, existing, and not in the ground or vaporized. And so we get this relationship that I think we're going to see a lot within Captain Marvel, and I think we'll see it even in... I think we're definitely going to see it in the Black King event that's coming up in December.
Yeah.
And we'll get to where was the accuser in the Fallout issues when we get to them. But all in all, I enjoyed the issue. It was almost, I mean, it's right there on the pick of the week, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
Because there was another issue of something that we read, or I read, or we did read, I don't know, that did pick of the week. But I really, really enjoyed this series. I'm digging the Captain Marvel ongoing series. I'm putting it on my pull list permanently because I dig it.
Contemplating it.
So, and then we get a tease of what's going to happen next. So, there's a new conflict about to erupt, and we'll see what happens. So that was Captain Marvel 21. Really enjoyed it. I don't know if you got any more thoughts on it.
No, I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of the most solid tie-ins to this whole event.
Yeah, same with Fantastic Four too, but we finished that. All right, next up, we're gonna get into the meat of it. Fantastic Four Empyre Fallout. All right.
The end of the end.
So let's just say this. Both Fallout and Aftermath have huge implications at the end. So we're just going to get that out of the way. I believe this is the issue that I needed you to give me some spark notes because
yeah.
I have not read Original Sin, and what we're going to talk about has direct connections to the Original Sin series. Actually, first page, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Okay.
right on the first page, you see the Unseen, which is what the new Watcher is called.
Who
is Nick Fury. In the Original Sin storyline, it is very convoluted, but in the easiest way possible to explain, a group of bad guys pluck the eye out of the Watcher and steal a weapons arsenal of his. Nick Fury shows up and says, "Hey, who did this? Who stole your eye? Who stole your weapons? Like, I need to protect Earth." He's referred to as the man on the wall. Like, Nick Fury's the guy that just protects Earth time and time again. And the Watcher won't tell him because his whole thing is he won't be involved in anything.
He can't influence.
He can't influence. So even him telling Nick Fury who it was that attacked him, he can't do. So Nick Fury says, "Well, the Earth's more important than you," pulls out a gun, puts a bullet in his brain, and steals his other eye. So that he can see who it is. And so basically, at the end, the final showdown is on the moon, and Midas is about to be consumed with the power of Uatu, and Nick Fury basically overloads him with the second eyeball, and there's a big explosion. You think Midas dies, and you think Nick Fury dies, but right at the end, you see that the power of Uatu actually went into Nick Fury, and now his kind of curse or punishment or new fate in life is that he's the new Watcher called the Unseen. And so I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know that we have seen him in any sort of big capacity since that. And that was in 2014.
Wow, that's crazy. So the Unseen shows up in this issue, like literally first panel, and he is witnessing the end of an era. He's witnessing, and he has to be there obviously to see it through. And he's basically seeing the alliance solidify between the Kree and the Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
He's seeing a family get bigger in the sense of the Fantastic Four. And he's also seeing our enemies, or the enemies of the series, the Kotati, I wouldn't say be laid to rest, but they are being dealt with, which how I can assume is permanently. I would assume.
The Kotati?
Yeah, I mean, you never can say that in the Marvel thing. Like, they'll pop up again at some point.
No, I think Dan Slott and Al Ewing very purposely left this as a blank slate. I don't know that those two guys necessarily have plans for Koi or the Kotati in any capacity, but I think that they very much set it up to where
if they wanted to come back,
it'll be an easy grab for them or for another writer in the future to pick up and left it off.
So anyway, we got the Unseen looking, over the alliance becoming official. The Fantastic Four gaining 2 new family members in the Kree and Skrull children that have the history of their just combat and just violent history embedded into them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mix of all of this, we finally get Tony Stark involved, right?
Yeah, he hasn't been here since issue 0, basically.
Seriously,
I mean,
like
in the background, but barely.
He's been in his tower creating armor for Mr. Fantastic, and he hasn't been around, and he finally shows up on the moon in his armor. And while everyone's kind of giving each other's greetings and telling the Kotati you're fucking done, he kind of looks at the weapons that the Kotati have been using, and he goes, "Where did you get this stuff? Because this is way more advanced than anything we've ever seen, or even us. Like, it's more advanced weaponry than we have." And so they ask Koi, like, "Where'd you get it?" And he's kind of like, "Yeah, go suck a chode. Like, I'm not."
Yeah, I'm not telling you.
I'm not telling you, dick. And so they get a little upset, but then Reed Richards decides to call on somebody, and we're like, well, who's it gonna be? Because there might be somebody that knows better what it is. And lo and behold, we get from our issue 0 the Prospector. Right? Is that her name? Did I say that right?
Who?
Is it the Prospector or
no
Profiteer?
The
The Profiteer. The Profiteer shows up, and she has been a major player in the Kree Skrull War. She has been the arms dealer, the agitator. She's been profiting off of obviously everything, aka the name Profiteer. And so they give her the weapons and say, "Hey, we need you to figure this out." She goes, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll figure out where these weapons are from and who are making them, but for a price. But we'll talk about that later." And it's pretty obvious what she wants. So as we're going through that, there's the issue of what we're going to do with Koi and the Kotati. And Thor shows up and is like, "I got this. We'll figure it out." And he transports them to a planet that's, we don't even know. It's you can't even tell.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows where they're going. They're going beyond the reaches of anybody. And he drops them off at this planet. And he goes, "All right, here you go. This is where you're going to be. Y'all can live, but you got to live on this desert planet." And Koi basically loses his shit. He's like, "You're going to let us, you're taking us out here where we have no idea where we're at, and you're going to let us die." And right before he gets attacked by him, Sue puts an invisible shield around Koi as he's about to attack Thor, and Thor hits his hammer on the ground, and the entire planet becomes lush with vegetation and plants and looks like a paradise.
Yeah, this awesome superpower that he got.
And we have no idea where he got it from.
The tie-in that we don't know anything about.
So yet again, we get the lingering effects of canceling a tie-in, and we have no clue how Thor is able to make an entire planet into a living planet. We don't know.
I mean, I know we get the gist of it. He says, I got this planet, I got these powers from my mom, Gaia, but like,
how?
Like, let us see what's going on.
And I mean, if you didn't, I think it's obvious for us, but I think if you just kind of skim over it, you're like, "Oh, I didn't know Thor could do that." You know what I mean? Like, it's so nonchalant. But anyway, so they basically make a paradise for the Kotati and Koi, and they say, "This is where you're gonna live," and we're out. Peace. And he leaves them there. And one of the Kotati kind of, he points out, like, "Look at the stars. Like, I have no idea these constellations. We have no clue where we're at." So they have a fresh beginning. Now, you can take it, like you said, either way. Either they're done, or it's open for them to come back in either capacity, good or bad or neutral. Right. But Thor leaves them on this planet, so the Kotati are kind of wrapped up with a little bow. I get why they did it like that, but it was almost, I felt like it was a step back. Like, "Hey, you did this. You killed a bunch of people. Here's a planet, and you get to live."
Well,
like,
it shows the complete opposite of the Kotati. The Kotati said, "We've come to a conclusion where you are no longer tolerable, and so we're going to eradicate you." And this is why, our characters are heroes, right? Is they're the same thing. We're saying you're no longer tolerable, but you still get to live. And so,
yeah, it's just not as satisfying.
Well, I get that, but yeah, I mean, I think we are done with the Kotati for quite a while.
Oh, a good while.
But one day maybe Donny Cates will get a hair up his butt, and Venom will show up in fucking Kotati Planet or something.
Or he'll be like, you know what, I'm doing a swordsman. I'm doing the swordsman because nobody gave him justice.
Right.
Anyway, so as that's going on, we deal with the Korean Scroll children, and they basically are adopted by the Fantastic Four, and more specifically, the Thing and his girl. Remind me of her name.
Alicia.
They've always wanted kids, and I think who's the one that says no? I was talking to who gives them the. Oh, it's Teddy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Teddy basically, I'm skipping way ahead.
Okay.
What happens is basically while they're having this discussion about like solidifying the alliance, the Profiteer finds out that she has no idea where these weapons are from, and she can't figure it out. All she knows is they predate the Elders of the Universe. They predate Celestials. They predate everybody. Like I think they even say like. Who says it? Is it the Unseen that says it? Someone says something like the weapons are from the first race or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, exactly what he says. He says it predates the Elders of the Universe, the Asgardians, the Celestials. It's my God. It's from the first race. Something this eye hasn't seen since. And then
we get there. Okay, anyway. So she can't figure it out. And so she goes, all right, I did my job. Here's what I want. And her price is the two children. She wants to start back up again the fighting pits and, rehashing the history of the Korean Scroll War, blah, blah, blah. And she's basically saying, there's a contract and you cannot supersede the contract, essentially. Like, I will have these children no matter what. Because this contract is with the Skrull and the Kree. Before they became the Alliance. And Teddy goes, oh, yeah, you're right. There is a contract. And he kind of looks at it and he goes, but the Kree and the Skrull no longer exist. We are one now. This is an alliance. And so he rips up the contract, and the Profiteer is just kind of like, bruh, you suck. And so she promptly leaves because she can't take on that alliance. And the Unseen is like, all right, that's it. We have solidified. And then, in doing this, the two, hey, what up, Grumpy? Thanks for the follow. And I don't know if you can see on chat or on that's I got that from Jamie, by the way.
Nice.
Anyway, the Unseen has basically seen the alliance through, and now he's making sure the children are taken care of. They're adopted by the Fantastic Four, mainly the Thing. They've wanted a family forever, and I'm assuming becoming a big rocky dude doesn't really allow you to have kids, I would assume. We won't get into that
thing where he gets to become a human one time. You don't know about that, actually.
Yeah, you're about to just throw some jam on some toast that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's issue 12 and 13 of the current Fantastic Four run. The Thing can become human once a year, and him and Alicia go on their honeymoon. They're about to bang it out, and then the Puppeteer takes over the Immortal Hulk, and they fight for 2 issues, and it's super badass.
Well, dude, now I gotta go get that.
Yeah, of course you do.
Anyway, so the children have been adopted. They've found a new family. Yay, happy ending. And so everyone leaves, and so that's when the Unseen looks over the weapons and finds out that they are from the original, or the first. What did I say they were? The first
race.
First race. And he's about to be like, man, I haven't seen this since. And his eye starts wigging out. He starts having he starts going cross-eyed, essentially.
An eye seizure or something.
Yeah. And something's coming out of his eyeball. So he's like, and it's talking and blah, 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 blah. And boom! Who shows up? You know his name. Uatu. So Uatu's spirit, his spirit, his body materializes out of nowhere, missing an eyeball, And the Unseen's like, "You're back. How is this even possible?" And then there's a long pause, and he goes, "Well, say something, goddammit." And Utati basically says, "There shall be a reckoning." And then we get a text that says, "The beginning of the end." And that's how Empire Fallout ends.
Yep.
So if you hadn't...
That's big stuff.
That is big stuff. And if you hadn't read any of that, you're kind of like, wait, what happened? And if you had read that stuff, you're like, wait, what happened? So,
right.
You know,
The
Ron...
guy basically just somehow materialized out of his eyeball.
Out of nowhere. Ron, when we were picking up our books, he told us both, he's like, just be prepared. Like, yeah. Be prepared. So it is a trip. And I will say, this is a much better ending. Or at least this part. And we'll get into the next one. This is a much better ending to Empire than I thought the end issue in number 6. So I really enjoyed it. So you got anything else to mark on that once we move on?
I think this issue also, while it doesn't directly focus on the kids for very long, I think this issue really solidified for me that, I mean, we already know that these kids are going to be, you know, probably big players in at least the Dan Slott run for a while. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what it was. For some reason in this issue, it really started clicking with me that, like, you know, these kids are now a central part of the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four are now part of, like, they can be part of the MCU now. Mm-hmm. This is the current run of Fantastic Four. So if they were to make a movie, this is the comic people would probably pick up first, like the Dan Slott run. And we already have Kree and Skrulls introduced into the MCU, so people that like the MCU would know who these races are.
Right.
I really do think there's a good chance that these two characters show up in the MCU in some way.
Oh, no doubt. Whether it's Phase 5 or 6, it's I think you're.
If you don't have a copy of Fantastic Four Zero Empire, like the intro, where that's their first appearance, I think you need to go get one.
Go get it, even if it's a second print or whatever print they're on.
Yeah.
Get it.
While you do the next one, I got to go check on Baby real quick.
Checking on Baby. All right, so next up, we have Empire Aftermath. So this is again another part of the end of Empire. I'll say this right now. It's already a better. I feel like a better ending than Empire 6 was. So basically, what we get is a big party being thrown by Hulkling because of the end of the war. And even before that, like before this issue even kicks off, we get a little bit of backstory from his grandmother, who, you know, we get a flashback to the planet that she was living on that got destroyed prior to all of this happening, prior to Teddy being older than 5. And she basically is told about her grandson right before the planet blows up, and she sacrifices her daughter in the mix of finding out about her grandson and her little evil plan to create a huge alliance. So that's how we get introduced in this book, and she is basically telling this story to Teddy about how she sacrificed his mother to leave the planet because, you know, she couldn't carry another person with her to get off the planet, which I think is suspect. I think she could have, but it was more of a it was more for dramatic effect and making sure that Teddy had a really shitty childhood. Anyway, so she's the man in the iron mask. Essentially, she can't transform with it on her face, and she's telling Teddy about all these things, and she's warning Teddy about leaving Earth and the humans on Earth alive. She's telling them he's in a not so alarming way, you know. She's just kind of saying it kind of tongue in cheek because I think she wants her grandson to fail because her plan didn't go right. But she's basically telling him, like, if you leave these guys alone, they're going to betray you. They're not going to stick up for you, and when you need them most, they won't be there. They may even be the ones that are coming after you. Yep. And Teddy can't believe it. He's like, no, there's no way. Like, this is a new era. You know, you're thinking of your old ways of thinking. That's not the way it is. And then after that, after she kind of still tells him like you need to be wary, she explains to him how she basically gives up all of her secrets of how she pulled this off. And she worked with a bunch of Skrull scientists to mask her DNA so that if she ever changed into somebody, no one could tell that it was her, like that it was a genuine person, not her. And that's how she infiltrated the Kree by becoming what's her name?
I don't know.
It was the chick that I thought was going to be the actual accuser before we found out about L'Oreal.
Right. I don't remember.
Anyway, so that's how she...
T'Nolth the Pursuer.
There you go. So she, impostered that person, got through the ranks, convinced, the Super Skrull and or not Super Skrull. It was actually just the main Kree guy. I don't even know his name. And it fell on it. The plan fell on her face. Teddy wins, and he's basically telling her, "You're wrong. The alliance is strong. Earth is behind us, and we are no longer. We don't need you. We don't need you. We don't need your old way of thinking." And even in her punishment, Teddy's getting ready to wind up punishment for the Super Skrull and the Kree general. He's like, "Y'all's time will come, Captain Glory." Yeah, they're both gonna get their time too, but let's go get some drinks first. And so then we flash back to the day before all this is going down, and we get to see the cosmic space wedding that we all wanted to see between Teddy and his groom. I don't know his name. Wiccan. So they have a space wedding, and it's performed by a rabbi, but then it's also being blessed by the Kree and Skrull elders as well. So that's kind of neat. So it's kind of funny when the Kree and the Skrull kind of give Wiccan their blessing. It's like they're knighting him, and Wiccan's like, "Oh, it's like I'm Merlin. I'm Teddy's wizard."
Yeah,
which I thought was
the court wizard,
which is kind of cool. So then after that, there's a big, huge party with the Avengers and the Kree and the Fantastic Four, and
that double splash page, by the way, is amazing.
It's so badass, and I looked at it probably for about 20 minutes, just kind of seeing who was all there. You've got L'Oreal and Marvel, you got She-Hulk. I think you even have, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like I see Al Ewing as a Skrull in there. I don't know.
Where?
Okay. So you've got America right there.
Okay.
With her. Okay, and then there's a Kree and a Skrull, right?
Captain America. Oh no, America.
And there's a Skrull with glasses. I feel like that's Ewing.
It might be.
I don't know. Ron, you might want to double take and look at it again, but I think Ewing put himself in the book. I think that's Ewing. I don't think that's Slott next to him, but I'm pretty sure that's Ewing. Anyway, so everybody's enjoying drinks. You even have some X-Men out there. You've got some New Mutants in there, which we'll get to in a bit. It's crazy. So it's a really cool splash page of everyone chilling out. You even got Black Panther hanging out and just kind of chilling out.
It's interesting. I actually didn't notice this until just now. But this helps us if you're like me and you're obsessed with timeline, even though there's always going to be discrepancies. You can definitely tell that this takes place after all of the events in the current Guardians of the Galaxy, because we have Marvel Boy on the left-hand side, who we know he becomes some type of Kree, what is it, like ambassador or something. That was what the headline was for the next issue of Guardians of the Galaxy, but right there behind Thor, Marvel Boy, who's been fighting over the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And that's Hercules with him too.
Yeah.
Which they're an item. So yeah, then we get, the Avengers kind of like kicking themselves in the foot, with the young Avengers, and kind of wishing they had given them a little bit more respect and a little bit more attention. You've got Thor paying respects to the original Captain Marvel. This is all kind of all of the work has kind of gone under his umbrella now, and they can kind of put a bow on it and honor him. And then we've got this really cool interaction with Captain Marvel and L'Oreal as the accuser going up to Teddy and like kind of like formally introducing themselves after her becoming the accuser. And she's kind of awkward about it, you know. She's like, she doesn't, what do I do with my hands, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then somebody shows up, and again, I am not aware of these characters, so I don't know who these people are. I've never read the comics that these people are associated with, but someone shows up.
So it's Abigail Brand.
Brand.
Yeah, she's head of Alpha Flight. So Alpha Flight is not the like Canadian superhero team from the 80s that crossed over with the X-Men a lot anymore. I mean, a lot of the same characters are part of this team.
Are Alpha Flights, are they mutants?
No.
Okay.
Well, a couple of them. So North Star and Aurora were on Alpha Flight, and they are mutants. But Sasquatch is also on there, and he is he's very much kind of like the Hulk. Like
he's gamma irradiated. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's been solved in Immortal Hulk. That's like issue 3 or 4.
But I think Ron was saying part of Al Ewing's Ultimates and Avengers run.
Okay.
And I think I also think the Alpha Flight as the Interstellar Defense program, that's in a previous Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Like the 2014 Captain Marvel run.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, so Abigail Brand shows up and she's fucking pissed because she was not involved, nor was Alpha Flight involved in any of the shenanigans that's been going on with the Kotati in this entire war. And their like base is on the moon. So they're pissed. She's upset. She's upset with Captain Marvel. And she basically bitch slaps Captain Marvel.
Honestly, that was an oh shit moment for me when I was reading this. I was like, what in the like I thought Captain Marvel was about to like go off on her.
Yeah. So anyway, she's basically really upset that Captain Marvel didn't go to them first rather than to the Avengers. She feels like they're playing second fiddle, like they're an afterthought. Sword, Scientist World Observation and Response Department, becoming Alpha Flight, kind of. Gotcha.
Okay.
So anyway, she's super mad, and she slaps Captain Marvel, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm out. I'm pissed. I'm done. You didn't even consult me, and I'm just letting you know right now. I'm fucking done. I'm done." And it's a pretty big moment. So we're like, okay, well, cool. We saw this person, and now they're gone. So who cares, right? They're done.
Right.
So we move on, and we continue with the party, and we're still trying to figure out. There's some formalities going on at the party with Teddy. You know, some kings meeting kings.
Yeah, I liked the Sunspot cameo. That was cool.
Okay, so we got to talk about that because I talked to. We kind of had. You weren't there. You were still at work. But Ron and Jacob and me were talking about this because you have that spoiler cover from House of X that has Sunspot on the throne of the Shi'ar.
Yeah.
And now I've seen 2 spoiler covers, and it's that one. Excuse me. Yeah. Is Sunspot sitting on the Shi'ar throne, and the other spoiler cover is Omega Red coming through a Krakoan gate into Krakoa. We have seen that happen. Yeah. We have seen Omega Red go through the gate, and now he's part of Krakoa, and we're dealing with him right now. We have not seen Sunspot sitting on the throne, and we kind of get a little sneak peek into that here, with Sunspot kind of giving his acknowledgement to Teddy, but also kind of throwing his weight around, saying, look, man, I got my own shit too. And so we don't know the development of that, if any, right now. But I believe we will see that in the pages that Hickman is writing. I think we will at some point see Sunspot gain some leverage with the Shi'ar.
So do you think Are you think? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I definitely want that. Like to me, that would be absolutely amazing. The 3 or 4 Hickman issues of New Mutants at the beginning of the Dawn of X. I honestly think that's my favorite of all Dawn of X stories so far. It was just fun. It was humorous. It's space. It has Shi'ar and just a lot of characters, a lot of old school characters, Deathbird, that I really enjoy. And so if we're gonna have more Hickman writing Sunspot and Shi'ar, I am a billion times down.
I think this is a hint, a subtle hint. I don't know if it's gonna be Hickman. I hope it's Hickman. I pray to God it's Hickman. But I think we're gonna get that. Like they wouldn't make that cover not to be like, oh, and forget that. No, I think it's happening, and this is a clear pathway forward to that. Ron is also telling us that Brand is the human mutant / alien hybrid. So there is there may be a Krakoa connection after all.
Okay.
So we get a little bit of that, and then we also get the New Avengers kind of savoring the moment now that Teddy and Wiccan have finally tied the knot. You've got Hawkeye's daughter kind of getting teary-eyed, about the whole thing, about them getting together.
Oh, man.
What?
Oh, sorry. Ron just put up a really good point. He said it wouldn't be bad if Dan Abnett or Lanning wrote the New Mutants in space. So Dan Abnett and Lanning are the 2 writers that wrote together for Annihilation Conquest, the original Guardians of the Galaxy, or the original modern Guardians of the Galaxy, Nova. They had a big run on New Mutants. I think Abnett's actually writing for DC right now. I don't know if he's under contract over there or not, but his book just got canceled. Actually, I think it was that JLA Odyssey or something like that. So, but that's
cool. And I'm going to assume enjoy his not under contract.
Not under contract. Yes, I have not read a ton of Abnett, and Lanning, but everything that I have read, like the first 15 issues of Nova, first 10 issues of Guardians, all of Conquest, it's absolutely fantastic.
So let me ask you this: is his writing on par with like Hickman, Jason Aaron, Donny Cates?
I mean, I would say so.
Okay.
They are, especially when it comes to tying into old stuff, tying into the history of Marvel. They're very Ewing and Cates-esque when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool.
They know their Marvel history.
Gotcha. All right, well, so we get that little nugget of information that I think we will expand on later on. I don't know if it's going to be this year. It'll probably be next. But I do believe we're heading in that direction. And then we jump back to the present, and Grandma is still bitching about, hey, you're going to get fucking betrayed. You figured, those bits known as Marvel history.
Really quick, before we move on, I want to show this panel. I don't know if this is a Ewing idea or it could have probably was a Sheedy idea, but this, make sure you can see it. The wedding.
Yeah.
See that?
Yep.
You know what that is, right?
Yeah, the Last Supper.
Yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely love putting a gay wedding ceremony as the Last Supper, as just a really not so subtle F you to anti-diversity. I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Comicsgate can suck it.
Yep. Anyway, so now we go back to the present. That's like a common.
That's a good point.
Where's Judas? Ooh.
I don't know where.
No. Whoa. Let's start low.
I wasn't taught my Christian iconography.
Well,
to know where
so Judas would be. I think it might be Sunspot, dude.
No.
I don't remember
I don't know.
What do you think, Ron? I think it's Sunspot, unless it's that lady who I don't know who that is, but I think it's Sunspot. Because Teddy is clearly where Jesus would be sitting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Judas is either right next to Jesus or to.
Let's move on, and I'll look it up while we're doing
Okay. So anyway, we go to the present and back to the present, and now Teddy is doling out the punishments for Captain Glory and Super Skrull, and basically tells Super Skrull, "You're no longer going to be a weapon. You're going to be a warrior of peace and preventing death, essentially." So he's going to be an ambassador, and he gives the same fate to Captain Glory, but Captain Glory's like, "I humbly decline." Third left of Jesus. Okay, so let's look at it here really quick. I don't know who that is. Third left of him
is that
is
Betsy?
Betsy Braddock?
I mean, who else has purple hair?
Psylocke?
No.
No?
No, Psylocke has black hair now, right? Doesn't she?
I don't know. If it's Betsy Braddock, then that kind of tells me she's the betrayer in Ten of Swords. But that's getting real deep there.
Yeah, now we're going crazy.
Anyway, man, we could go on all night for that. So Captain Glory is just like, nah, I'm not. That's not me, son. I was built for war. So you know, I'll chill out until you need me, until you need an enforcer. And the minute he says that, we cut to the future, and Captain Glory is beaten to a pulp. Everybody's pretty much dead. Teddy is being remorseful and saying, "Yeah, I fucked up. I shouldn't have let Earth stay alive." His soul sword, or whatever, his cosmic sword, is broken in half, and we see the new and improved Alpha Flight, or we don't know what they're called, but we basically get Abigail shows up with a new haircut, essentially. And
Someone's got a new haircut.
New haircut, new outfit, and the end of the last page basically says the end of the Empire, and then we've got some silhouettes, and then somebody else behind her that's got like a staff, and he looks badass, and yeah, so Empire is going to fall fairly quickly, and we have no idea how it's starting. Now, if you look at her outfit, she has X's on that. There are X's on her outfit.
Are those X's?
They look like X's to me.
Yeah, they kind of do.
So I gotta wonder if they have any association with the X-Men. I don't know. And that ends our end and beginning of Empire Aftermath Avengers. I will say I'm a little disappointed that Iron Man wasn't in it more. I mean, Iron Man is more in the Fantastic Four Omega issue than he is in this issue.
Yeah.
But anyway, I enjoyed it a lot. There's a bunch of Easter eggs in here that we're probably going to have to comb through for a while. But I enjoyed it. And I ended up getting the other cover as well, with She-Hulk forcing Spider-Man to dance at the wedding, which I thought was kind of cool.
Well, let me see it.
I don't have it right here. I'll get it later.
Oh my god!
I have it put away in a box because it's I wanted it nice and safe. All right, so that puts a bow essentially on our Empire reading. I don't think we have any more outside of the Knoll Empire Aftermath book that's coming out in a couple weeks or a month. I don't think we're really going to get much more Empire until then. And I'll be very interested to see how Donny Cates... Well, Donny Cates isn't writing that book. But we get a story of Knoll dealing with Empire. I would assume he's going to mess with the Alliance while he's coming up. Leaving his prison. All right, so next up, we're going to jump over to the Dawn of X books. And we have Marauders number 12. I'll tell you right now, I was pleasantly surprised with this issue. I didn't have high hopes for it because I figured it was just going to be kind of this like kind of stretching it as much as we can, and it kind of is till we get to the point where we actually do kill Shaw. And so my expectations for this book were fairly low, and they were brought up a little bit in this issue. So basically, it's the literally hours after she's been resurrected, and we're having a big party on Krakoa for Katie, and we're gonna go all out, right? But through the party, we're getting little sprinkles of what's going to happen next, and we have some assumptions being made. One by Shaw, thinking that Katie has no idea what happened, that she doesn't have any memory of her being killed by Shaw. We get some reunions, and we also get some confirmations on certain people's sexuality that has been rumored for years and years and years. So what? Long time? Yeah.
Long time.
So issue starts with them getting ready for the party to kind of surprise her. She shows up on a horse. But before the party, Emma has some psychic words with Katie and asks her, what are your plans? What do you want to do? And she goes, you can go ahead and read my mind. So she reads her mind, and Emma Frost basically just starts laughing, losing it, and saying, oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Oh, I can't wait to do that. So us as readers, we don't know what's going to happen, what their plans are for Shaw, but apparently it's going to be really good. So we go into our party, and everyone is just gawking over Kitty, so happy that she's back. And we get a reunion with Nightcrawler, and he is super excited that she's back, and I think he was kind of leaning on his faith really hard, to the point where I think if she hadn't come back, I think he may have walked away from his faith. But anyway, it ended up not happening, and he gives her a Star of David necklace to her, because that was hers. And they have a good little reunion, and in the middle of her reunion, she kind of looks to the side, and she sees I think it's Rachel Summers, who is just kind of hanging out and kind of giving her a wink, if you will. And so there's a little bit of, I think, chemistry there, that we're kind of like, what's going on there? And through this party, we're seeing Katie, just her attention doesn't seem to be focused on the party, and we all know why. She remembers being killed by Shaw, so she's trying to calculate basically.
No, she doesn't remember being killed by Shaw.
Does she not? I thought she did.
Well, she knows, but she doesn't remember it. Emma had to tell her.
Okay. Well, but you can see in her mind trying to calculate what she's going to do next.
Yeah, for sure.
So she can't really focus on the party. So Magic shows up, gives her a greeting. She shows up with mariachis and is like, "Hey, you're alive!" And Katie's like, "Great. Can you get me the hell out of here? I need some time to just breathe." So Magic teleports her out. Whoop, and they show up somewhere else. And she gets dressed, and she's like, "I need to go take care of some business. You go do what you got to go do. I'm gonna go get a tattoo, essentially."
Before we move on, real quick, I think this little first part right here, I think is a really, really nice tribute to the history of Kitty Pryde. That kind of shows you that Gary Duggan's, he knows his X-Men.
Yeah.
I'm actually reading Uncanny for the first time. I'm up to, issue 205 or something like that, right around Secret Wars 2. So this is all pretty fresh in my mind, but at this time, Emma's in my reading, Emma's still bad, but I know eventually when Emma becomes head of the Xavier Institute, her and Kitty have a really, really close relationship. In Uncanny back in the early 80s, Storm is like her second mom, especially because she's on her own, away from her parents for the first time. As a matter of fact, she has a huge freak out when Storm gets her mohawk and won't talk to her and stuff because she feels like she's changed too much.
Oh my god.
So you've got Emma, you get Storm, and then you get let's see who's next. After that, you get her winking at, nodding to Rachel. They were on Excalibur, the original Excalibur team, for a long time. Same
And I
with
guess
Nightcrawler.
there was some romantic tension there.
I haven't read it, so I don't know.
That's what I heard when I watched Comic Book Harold's video. He was kind of like they've had some
So people have
history.
been reading. Yeah, people have been reading Kitty Pryde as queer in some way because of her extremely close relationships with other female mutants. I think Rachel's probably one. Ileana is definitely the other one. Yeah, so Emma, Storm, Rachel, Nightcrawler is also on the original Excalibur team. They both are the two characters that are probably the most centered around faith aspects in X-Men. And then when Ileana finally comes, they've been best friends since New Mutants very began.
Yep.
Anyway, I just thought that was a very, very good homage to it had those were the perfect mutants to highlight while she was having her comeback.
So she gets transported, and she gets left off basically at a tattoo parlor, and she gets tattooed on her knuckles, Killshaw, and
which I think is very dumb.
Really?
Very dumb. Oh,
Well,
that's so dumb.
Anyway, so she gets that tattooed on her knuckles, and before she leaves, she gives the tattoo artist, who is a woman, nice big old smoochy smooch, and I kind of take it as, we are finally getting a confirmation of her sexuality, which I believe is bi. I don't know.
I mean, you could assume so with her. She marries Colossus at one point, so.
And then she's with Peter Quill, and she's all over the map.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think it's a confirmation of that to us as readers, and also I take it as just as you were saying, you think it's a dumb thing that you put it on her knuckles, but it's just her going like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do what I want.
Maybe
I've conquered death, and I'm gonna go and do. If I want to get Killshaw, on my knuckles, great. If I die, I'll just go get a different tattoo. So that's how the issue ends. Is she's basically getting ready to begin the revenge train, and she walks out of the tattoo parlor straight up badass, knowing exactly what she wants to go do. So that's Marauders 12 in a nutshell. And again, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't have big expectations for it. I will say the thing that's been the most letdown of all these books lately has been the Path to the Ten of Swords. There's only been one book in this, and we're about to get to it, that has really had a path to the Ten of Swords. Yeah. The rest is it's just been like a marketing, like, hey, get ready for Ten of Swords. None of these stories I feel like have had, and prove me wrong, when we actually start reading, if they start kind of connecting them in the actual event, great. But right now, it kind of bums me out to see that on the cover, because it's just like to me, it's just a marketing gimmick.
It is for sure. And it's frustrating because when we first heard about Ten of Swords, I think we were around issue 7, for each title. And I was like, okay, we've got time to like slowly walk into Path of Swords, so it won't just be like what I was worried about was everyone, Jerry Duggan and Ed Brisson and Leah Williams were all going to have their own storylines going on, and then when it came to time for Ten of Swords, we were just going to go, okay, let's put our stories over here. Let's play with Ten of Swords for a while. Okay, now let's go back again. And I really didn't want that, and I think that's what we're getting.
I think it's exactly where we're going.
I'm okay with that. I can get over it. It's not my favorite, but I can just hear people bitching about it now. And
for sure. I
don't want to hear it.
For sure. So that's Marauders 12. Next up, X-Force 12. I enjoyed this issue too. Not as much as some of the other X-Force titles, but there's definitely some like major development and major questions, dropped in this book. And we also get more theory into what the hell is going on with Hank, with the Beast. I think we're going to find out fairly soon what's going on with Beast, if he's really the Dark Beast or if he's got a Dr. Jekyll or a... is it Dr. Jekyll Hyde or something like that.
Right.
So
isn't there like a dark beast or evil beast version from Age of Apocalypse or something?
Yes,
like
there's a dark evil beast, but I think there's a hybrid thing going on here. I think it's in his brain. I think like he's dealing with like two different personalities, kind of like what Hulk's going on with. But that's just me. That's my kind of sprinkle of speculation. Anyway, so we catch right back up with Mikhail, talking to Omega Kid. Or Kid Omega.
Kid Omega.
And basically going like, you're mine now. And I planned this. And you're coming with me.
Yeah.
And so we move forward. And he's not quite dead yet. And while we are... we go back to Krakoa. And Beast is trying to get more information. Trying to figure out where the Cerebro Sword went. And he puts a biopack on God, what's her name? I always forget her name. Sage. And so he needs Sage basically to do some dirty work so he can figure out what the hell just happened. And so she essentially had a concussion, and this biopack is going around her head to like heal her quicker while she can get the job done. And we find out that this invasion was orchestrated by Mikhail, who is Colossus's brother. And so he has what kind of powers does he have? He can change reality. He can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, he's pretty hardcore. I don't remember exactly what all his subset is.
So Beast finds that out, and then we cut to the Xeno guys that we group that we were introduced to, I think in the first issue. They basically cloned. They took tissue from Domino and cloned and made multiple Dominoes and really fucked with Domino. Like, it was really gruesome. Like, they were taking pieces of her face and her arm and her stomach, just crazy shit. So they're basically they're hyping themselves up again to do another invasion or to fuck with the X-Men again. And in doing this, he's like, the main leader is slicing and dicing their main henchman, their big baddie. And he gives them a new arm, I guess, like some kind of weird, like, gross arm. And like, while he's doing this, Mikhail, claw. Mikhail shows up with the Cerebro Sword and is like, "Oh, y'all are having a little meeting without me." So we find out that Xeno has been working with a mutant that doesn't really believe in Krakoa, and they get found out via Colossus's brother. And he basically tells them, like, you done fucked up, boys. Like, you should have told me about these meetings. So now I'm going to have to make an example of you. So this is going on. And then we cut dramatically back to Beast, who is hunting. We find out is hunting all mutants that are from Russia. Prominent mutants. So Omega Red, Colossus, right? So we trap Colossus. He traps Colossus, Omega Red, and then he goes and traps Colossus. Essentially, he goes and arrests Colossus, but he's doing it for theatrics. Almost, we find out he's doing it to make sure that people know that we're not fucking around, and it's very out of characteristic of Beast. Beast has not been one to be the secret police. You know what I mean? And it just seems like in this X-Force run, he's become this. I mean, almost like the KGB of Krakoa, which is really ironic because we're dealing with with Russia. So he captures, or he doesn't capture. He goes and arrests Colossus and makes it a spectacle of it. And Wolverine loses his shit. I'll get back to Mikhail. Loses his shit and is like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" And he goes, "Well, he needs to be made an example of." And Wolverine gut punches the shit out of Beast and is like, "This is not right. He's one of us. You shouldn't be doing this." And so Colossus gets taken into custody. Then we go back to Russia, where Xeno is dealing with Mikhail, and Mikhail basically makes good work of the henchman, just beats the shit out of him. And then he hands over the Cerebro Sword to Xeno. to the leader of Xeno. And also, he gives them a present. He gives them Kid Omega and says, make some clones. Make some clones of this guy. You know, you did some really good work with Domino. Make some work with this Omega level mutant. Like, shit's about to get real. And
like, I understand that we can resurrect and people can come back, so I guess you'll get a little bit lax with people dying. But don't you? I mean,
yeah, dude.
Kid Omega's died like what, 10 times in 12 issues?
Right.
I mean,
he's died a shit ton of times, and also he's a fucking Omega level mutant.
Why are we not keeping up with this?
Like, why aren't you? You need to have a fucking ankle bracelet on this dude. Like, if you know, if you know that the humans have already done something absolutely terrifying with Domino and her mutant powers, what do you think they're gonna do with his? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we end on that note. We end we end. That's the Mikhail, and as Xeno gets their hands on some Kid Omega DNA, and they're probably gonna make some really crappy weapons for Krakoa. And then the issue ends with Wolverine taking Jean, who has quit the X-Force, back to Hank's lair, and she finds out that they're interrogating Colossus and Omega Red to find out where the Cerebro sword went and if they had anything to do with it. So that's kind of where we end with X-Force. And then we've got some data pages that kind of give us some more insight into Colossus's feelings and what he's trying to get away from Krakoa. I think we had a data page from Hank too, I believe, kind of explaining his process of why he's doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And I really do. I'm going to go ahead and say I think that there is a tussle going on in Beast's mind. I think he's dealing with split personalities where you've got the Hank and Beast, not Beast and Dark Beast. I think it's Hank and Beast is the antagonist in his mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, after that, the last page or the next preview is Ten of Swords. So I think we're out of all the stories. Yeah. So Ron says I still want to know where Moira is. I think we're gonna find out after Ten of Swords. I really do. I think we're gonna get a little drop of where we think she is.
Yeah, I don't think she'll. I think it'll happen maybe at the very end, though.
Unless major speculation here. What if Moira is the what if Moira is the character on? If you look at the Ten of Sword villains, there's that one villain that's classified.
Oh no!
What if that's Moira?
It's not. It's definitely not.
But what if it is?
Then that's weird.
It's not. There's no way.
Sorry,
I say that.
Checking baby again.
Checking baby again. So we're gonna move on. Oh, this one's rough. So we have one more 10 of or Dawn of X books to get through, and that is going to be X Factor number 3. So we are still in the Mojoverse. We are still going through the idea of the Mojoverse being a subscriber, kind of what we're doing now, a streaming service, streaming channel. And you've got different channels in the Mojoverse that you can watch. And the more popular your channel is, the more reputation and fame and fortune you get. I don't know if fortune is the right word. But that's how the Mojoverse works. The more views you get, the more popular you are. So kind of what we're doing here. The more followers I get, the more followers we get, the more popular we get. And then we get to affiliate and all that jazz. Kind of the same thing. So North Star and the gang are still in the Mojoverse trying to find the killer of this one mutant. And they are led to Spiral at the Spiral staircase. She's got the information of who was killed. And when we find out, Spiral gives some pretty good information of who was killed. And she actually shows the footage of our mutant that was killed live to the X-Force. And it's pretty it's pretty gruesome. She shows exactly what happened to the mutant, and she gets shot. And this was one of my oh shit moments, because when she shows it to them, they're not really expecting it, and then the artwork for it is just super gruesome. And she basically did it. The mutant that died did it for the views in Mojoverse. So she was already kind of coerced within the Mojoverse. She was already kind of playing the game of getting the most views. And it led to her death. So they find out that she died, but they don't know who killed her. So before they could ask Spiral who did it, she transports them away to exactly where they'll find out, which is the battle arena in the Mojoverse. And in this where they're basically taken to is the number one channel of the Mojoverse, right? It's the top channel. It's the ninja, if you will, the Tim the Tapman channel of Twitch. And so they have to battle it out with this guy to get information, so they don't know. And then we cut directly back to home with Aurora, and she runs into is his name Draken? Draken. And Draken and Aurora kind of have a thing where they have some dialogue, and it looks like they're kind of flirting. And Draken's kind of putting it on with Aurora, trying to get to know her a little bit better. And right when you think he's gonna make a move, he out of the blue asks how she or who she was trying to meet when she died, and it like immediately killed the moment between the two. And he kind of jumped the gun. And she kind of was just like, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you about this. Like, I literally was just revived like 21 hours ago. And so we got that cut, and then we cut straight back to the Mojoverse. And we're in this battle arena, and we're trying to figure out who we need to talk to. And who shows up? The star of Mojoverse. Shatterstar. So Shatterstar is from the Mojoverse. He was born in the Mojoverse. He touts himself as what are you doing?
Oh shit.
And there's Nate's ceiling fan.
Yeah, you like that?
Anyway, Shatterstar shows up.
He's brain for a second.
He's born from the Mojoverse. He's the character itself. He's very arrogant. He's very I guess flamboyant. He's very confident. He he loves his swords. He calls himself the best. He calls himself the best swordsman. Like you're not going to win a duel against Shatterstar. So, he's big into the theatrics, and he's surprised that the X-Force is there. He's like, what are y'all doing here? But at the same time, the way he talks, it definitely, you can tell that he's been drinking the Mojoverse Kool-Aid, right? And the X-Force, North Star and what's her name, Prisma? Polaris? They both are kind of like, why are you talking like this? Like, you're acting kind of strange. Like, we know you're one for the theatrics, but this is a little over the top. So he leads them. He's like, hey, come with me. Y'all are my friends. I'll get you where you need to go. And he takes them to these, I guess, cloning pits in Mojoverse. And what we're finding out is Mojo is cloning mutants. So he's basically got his own Krakoa. And he's cloning mutants. He wants to clone mutants. And the idea is that when he clones them, he completely wipes their memories, but lets them keep their abilities, basically, so he can use them for his own entertainment, for his own, getting more views and all this shit. But we also think he's doing it to probably raise an army. You can't trust Mojo. Like, he's not a good dude. So through all of this, again, they're still kind of questioning Shatterstar. They're like, why are you talking the way you're talking? And he can't really give him a straight answer until Polaris talks to him psychically and is like, yo, what's up? Like, are you okay? And even then, he kind of gives a weird answer, but then he speaks Krakoan, and he basically says no, everything is not okay. But Mojo has a beat. He doesn't have a beat on that language. So that's our tell that Shatterstar is being held prisoner. and that everything is not fine in the Mojoverse. And that's where we're kind of left off. Like they're like, "We'll come back for you. You know, we've figured this shit out, but we got to go." And so Shatterstar goes back to rocking out and killing people with his swords, and X-Force dips out because they got to keep working on this case. And that's kind of how this issue ends. And again, you know, the next issue is a direct, you know, we go straight into Ten of Swords. So I don't think I think we're, like you said, we're going to picking up this issue and we're just going to put it right over here. And then we're going into Ten of Swords. So we will probably see Mojoverse again in about
next year.
Next year, yep. Now, I know there's a page in here that you really love.
Oh, yes. My favorite page of the whole issue.
In Comic Gate absolutely hates, and I'll let you describe it.
So, basically, it's really simple. We get a table of characters. We've got Storm, Psylocke, Domino, and Mystique.
Who's the blonde chick, though?
No idea. No idea.
Okay.
And they're all sitting around a table just telling stories. And then there's a rainbow, and they all disappear. And the bartender's like, "Oh, where'd they go?" And whoever that chick is like, "Don't worry, it's just a tie-in."
It's just a tie-in.
Basically, this is exactly like the end of Wolverine issue 5, where it's showing the slight tie-in to the Fortnite activities.
Boom Boom. So it's Boom Boom.
Oh, is it?
I mean, that's what Ron's saying.
That does not look like the version of Boo Boo that I'm familiar with. But that does match her humor, so I would totally believe it.
Yep. So that's how that issue ends. We get a data page, and it's basically them confirming that Shatterstar can't really leave the Mojoverse, but shit's going down in the Mojoverse.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that storyline more. I don't think we're gonna see it during the Ten of Swords. I could be wrong, but I know that issue 4 is literally a husk on fire coming out of an egg in front of the 5, resurrecting the mutant. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but there's that. I feel like issue 1 was like woo, and then we got into the Mojoverse, and now we're kind of coming back to. Ron says they just don't like anything with a rainbow. It's very true.
That's exactly what it is.
Anyway, we'll be coming back to the Mojoverse, probably next year. So that is that. Next up, Web of Venom, Wraith. I think this is a perfect issue for you to talk about because you know a hell of a lot more than I do. I will say though, I really enjoyed this issue, and when we get to the part that I think I'll chime in, you'll know.
Okay. First off, the art in this book is fantastic.
Yep.
So basically, we get a quick little introduction to Wraith in case you are unfamiliar with who he is and what his style is. We basically see him rescuing an old woman from getting attacked by these three guys. He's sort of a gunslinger kind of character, and you get a perfect panel of that where it's literally 3 guys standing there, and then the next panel is 3 headless guys having their heads blown off by his gun.
I didn't know Wraith was Kree.
Yes. He's Kree-ish.
Ish.
Yeah. So he is Kree, but then he is taken over by the I'm not going to remember how to say it. Exogen. It is basically a pre symbiote, but we'll get there. I wish I had actually written a formal write-up because I just remember the absolutely interesting parts. Basically, we're finding out that this is classic Donny Cates, taking an obscure character from the past and tying them into what he has going on. So basically, Wraith finds out that his dad was onto something. That's why he got killed, and that symbol is the spiral null symbol. that we've seen in Donny Cates' Venom run. And it leads him to Clintar, which is the planet of the symbiotes, which we also find out isn't technically a planet. It's just symbiotes so tightly packed together that they create a planet, which I find to be very awesome. And it's while he's there, he basically witnesses the rebirth of Null. He witnesses Null finally breaking apart from Clintar, which is his prison.
Right, so Clintar broke up in absolute carnage. I believe it's... the reason why it broke up was because of Eddie Brock. He had to make a choice. He either had to save his son, but if he saved his son, he'd wake up Null. Or if he didn't save his son and didn't do... I can't remember what it was, but if he didn't do it, then he wouldn't have woken up Null. And Eddie was like, fuck it, I'm saving my son. So when he did that, the barrier, the symbiotes just broke up and Null is awake. So when Wraith shows up is the minute back home when Eddie Brock says, fuck it, I'm saving my son. I don't give a shit about your god. So that's those two things are happening simultaneously.
Yep. So he finds out that Null is the one that created that. It's Exolon, is what they're called. Exolon.
Which are basically like symbiotes, right?
Yeah, it's basically like a pre-symbiote. At one point, he says to Null, like, you made the Exolon, and Null's like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. And the guy, and then Null's like, oh wait, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's one of my like very first experiments.
Failed experiments.
He says, yeah, you were born from my trash.
That is, to me, that is my most favorite part in this book is Null being like, dude, that's bullshit. Like that was like when I first, like, I literally took the SATs and I just put my name down and I was like, I'm out. Like that was what that was. And when I read that, I was like, dude, that sucks. 'Cause you've got like this whole book at the beginning is just how Wraith is this badass who is just this Clint Eastwood of the cosmic universe.
So,
and then,
yeah. So he super is like that's the way. So I just read the Wraith original Wraith issues and Annihilation Conquest, which he's involved in. Mm-hmm. And this Exolon basically is so dark and powerful and consuming. It's the only thing that can strike fear into the Phalanx. Wow. Like that's how, like, the Phalanx are supposed to be this super meta cyborg, creatures that have absolutely no emotion whatsoever. And when he literally unleashes his darkness from the Exolon, like, they freak out. And literally in one fail swoop, Null just rips it right out of him.
Yeah, like completely
takes it away.
Like, here's my pinky, boop, like that. That's how it went.
And then I did get a little bit confused because then when he takes it away, it shapes itself like All Black, the Necro Sword.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I don't know if we're supposed to assume that Exolon is the All Black.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. And then he basically takes Wraith and then just sort of tosses him out into the void. And there he sees.
He has a vision.
He has the vision. He sees the light. This part, honestly, maybe it's because I'm not caught up on Venom, but I just
this is totally new. Unless I've missed it, I have not seen this symbol. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but basically we get confirmation that there is an opposite to Null.
Right.
That's saying a lot because this dude can fucking eat Celestials for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so what happens is Wraith sees a vision and finds out that there is a polar opposite of Null. There is a being out there, a being of the light, that is, it's the yin and yang, Mm-hmm. And so when he sees this vision, he goes, I must in the vision, he is basically told, like, you need to go tell somebody, and that somebody is Eddie Brock. So he's got this whole time he's had like a reality jumper, or like some kind of transportation warp wrist thing. And so he activates it and goes, all right, I'm going to see Brock. And so he does it, but it's got its last bit of juice. And he even says, like, this jump is probably going to kill me. Yeah, you're good. So this jump's probably going to kill me. And so he does it, and he warps to Earth, I think butt naked, if I'm not mistaken, to New York. And he shows up and sees and lands in front of Venom, in front of Eddie, and is like, warning him, essentially saying, look, you need to know this before, like, I'm about to pass, like, I'm about to die, but you need to know that your God is coming, but there is a polar opposite to Null. And then he vaporizes. Poof. So, if you haven't read any Wraith, and this is your first comic to Wraith, he goes away pretty quickly in this issue, but Wraith essentially warns Eddie Brock that Null is coming, which he already knew, but that there is an opposite to Null, that there is a being of the light, and that Eddie needs to know. And then Wraith disappears and voids out into existence.
So, yes, I'm pretty confused. So, one, if Wraith is for sure just gone, I'm gonna be super irritated, because I was really hoping he'd be coming back to be like a part of things. Especially because isn't he in Johnny Case's Guardians a little bit?
He is.
Yeah.
He is, because he's trying to get information from Thanos' brother about Null.
Gotcha.
Ron brings up a good point. Do you think Wraith teleported to Brock on the Venomized planet that we're currently on, or is it our Earth 616?
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either. So now,
interesting. What?
I'm going to look.
Oh, the one thing I don't understand though is this opposite of Null also supposed to be bad?
I don't know. I mean,
because he literally says it is coming for you, and Venom's like, oh shit, like who? Null? Like, is that who you're talking about? And he's like, no, not him. I'm talking about the shadow, the opposite of Null. And I don't know, when I first think of a shadow or an opposite of Null, I think of a good Null, or like something like a positive in some way.
But that would be pretty dope if it's another villain. Like,
like how much are we gonna double down though? Like Donny Cates is saying, like, okay, Galactus, like,
but
totally thing. Oh, there's this other thing that's gonna come too, and it's bigger. And you know what, Null, he's really big. Actually, no, there's another bigger thing.
But right, but how easy would it be to be like, oh, and this is your out, is this shadow of Null that's better? You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, I'm not saying you shouldn't have been, but what I'm saying is, I think it's too easy to be like, oh, Null bad, opposite good. I think it would be badass if it's like, oh, Null bad, opposite still bad, and like, and they're gonna be like Wonder Twins combined form of Ice Dragon. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be cooler. I doubt that'll be, but that'd be dope.
Null's ultimate form or something is them combined. Maybe,
yeah, dude. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I'm excited either way.
Ron made a good point though. He said they're dark and light, above good and evil. So.
Right. Because like being light doesn't mean that you're not above sacrificing an entire planet for the greater good. I mean, that's always been the plight of the Earth. All right, next up is a book that I read and you did not, so I will go very quick. And that is Spider-Man 48, Part 4 of Sin Rising. So this has been, again, super fun. I literally jumped on this arc because of the cover art. I thought it was great. But this series is pretty kick-ass. Again, Sin Eater is developing. He's raising an army, literally. He is taking the sins and powers of bad guys and normal people, And when we left, he was sending his army and himself to Ravencroft to go kill or take the powers away or the sin away from Norman Osborn. Big major player in Spider-Man's life. We all know he's the Goblin, the Green Goblin. And so the army is marching their way to Norman, and Spider-Man is having an internal conflict. He doesn't know what to do, because he knows that the Sin Eater isn't technically killing anybody. He's just absolving them of their sins and taking away their superpowers if they have them. So he's like, should I let the Sin Eater kill Norman Osborn? Because he's not technically killing him. But at the same time, it's not right. So what do I do? So as he's doing this, he kind of calls, or he doesn't really call, he first off, he calls Miles Morales to help him out, to fight the Rising Sin Army. And in doing so, Miles is like, hey man, it might not be a bad idea to let Sin Eater kill Norman, because we know he's not killing them. He's just taking away their powers and sin. He'll end up being a good guy. This guy has plagued you all your life. Why wouldn't you let him take him? And Spider-Man's like, yeah, but it's not right. So we get our first interference from the Spider-Verse. So we continue on and we move on. And then the second Spider person comes in, and it's just Spider-Gwen. And she is trying to convince Spider-Man, listen, it's probably not a bad idea. Like, I know this guy basically essentially killed your girlfriend and Gwen Stacy of this Earth. But I'm just letting you know, it might not be a bad idea to let Sin Eater do his thing. I don't know. Continues marching forward. And then this is where it's murky for me, because I'm not that well versed in this stuff. But essentially the original Spider-Woman, who is now the controller of the Spider-Verse, or the web that connects all the Spider-Verses, shows up and talks to Spider-Man and basically says the same thing. Like, listen, this might not be a bad idea. Like, you might want to let this happen, because, and it's clear that all these Spider characters are like hitting him over the head. Like, don't, just let this happen. Right. So he turns it down again. He turns it down again and goes to Ravencroft and saves Norman. And Norman's like, what the hell are you doing, man? I got this. I got this under control. And he's like, no, you don't. I got you. I'm saving you. You don't want this shit to happen. So he saves Norman. We cut to Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman that we know that can shoot the lasers out of her hands, and Silk. All of them have shown up. And they basically reference themselves as the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, and say, well, he didn't listen to us, so now what do we got to go do? And Gwen is like, we got to go stop Spider-Man. So we've got the Spider-Verse going against Peter Parker, and they can't let him be the good guy, apparently. And so that's how this issue ends, is we've got all the Spider-Verse against possibly Peter Parker in trying to save Norman Osborn. So pretty crazy issue. We still got these Sin Eater disciples like getting powers and like kicking people's asses in this issue. But basically the next issue we're going to see Spider-Man fight off, the rest of the Spider-Verse, which I think is going to be really kick-ass. So that's Spider-Man number 48 in a nutshell. I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, the next issue is 850, right? So is it like a double issue or something?
Well, so before that, there's going to be another number 1. It's called Spider-Man: Sins of Norman Osborn, and it shows all of the Spider characters, including Spider-Man, being like completely consumed by those centipedes that we've been seeing in the issues. So it's about to get pretty nutso. I'm really glad. I'm really happy that I picked up this. Like, Spider-Man again has been one of my favorite characters, and I didn't necessarily start with him when we got onto the comic book train, but I'm really glad I'm here now.
Nice.
So, pretty cool. So next up, your book.
Oh, yeah, which you still have, so I can't look back.
Well,
over.
just figure it out.
I'm not going to talk a lot about the overall plot of this story because if you're not reading it, every sentence can be a spoiler, and you need to read this, and so I'm just not going to spoil it. But we see further developments on basically. I'm trying to think how to say it without spoiling it.
You can do it.
Yeah, I think I can. So basically, we see Erica Slaughter's. I don't know what you want to call him. Her sidekick or compatriot or whatever showing up and basically trying to help her stop what's going on. So we've got all of the parents and the families outside of the school gymnasium. They're there to basically look at all the bodies of all of these dead kids and try to identify their children and, make sure they're dead. Unbeknownst to them, in the woods just behind them are the continually growing monsters who have just eaten 3 brothers of of a family that was there who they had lost their sister. So now this mother and father have now lost all 4 of their children to these monsters. But throughout most of this issue, we don't get a lot of overt violence. This book isn't full of overt gore in the first place. But I feel like this issue really slowed it down a lot. But in the most terrifying and disturbing way possible.
Yeah, when I asked you about this book, you said it made you feel very uncomfortable, right?
It did. So, basically in this issue, we start to get a glimpse of what an adult would view if they saw one of these monsters killing a child. Because basically you can't see these monsters if you're an adult. You can only see them if you're a kid. And so all of these families are outside of this gymnasium, in between the gym and the forest. And the monsters are in the forest behind them. And we basically see a bunch of cutscenes between a monster slowly creeping out of the forest and a little girl kind of noticing it and not quite sure what she's seeing. So she takes a couple steps forward, and then you get a close-up of her face, and then you just get a shot of the bottom half of her body, and she's pissed herself. And when I saw that panel, that was way more scarier and terrifying, and honestly, it was just fucking horrifying. I was thinking what if that was my daughter, seeing this fucking monster and peeing her. I was just so fucking freaked out. And then of course you turn the page, and the next page is this girl, because you're seeing it through the eyes of the parents in this issue, floating in the air, and then all of a sudden getting ripped in half.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's just, and everybody just turns and looks and is like, what the fuck?
No mas.
And something pretty big happens with I can't remember his name, but the character that we see here on the cover. He finally decides to get in on the action, so we're left with him about to take on the monsters. But
damn,
this issue, as brutal as it is, definitely gets my pick of the week. Nice. I think James Tynion is doing a really good job with the writing on this book. But I honestly think that, I'm not sure how to say the name, but Deledria or Deladera, I'm not sure how to say the last name, but the artist of this book, I think, is really the showstopper of this book, even more than James Tynion, because it's very difficult, I think, to make a medium like a comic or like a book where you control the pace to be scary, because pacing is almost everything when it comes to horror. And when I've gotten more scared and more creeped out by a comic book, more than I have by like TV shows or movies, you know you're doing something right. And I feel like I say this every month when this book comes out. It's always the pick of the week, and it's always fucking freaking me out. And but the story is also super badass. Like it's just I would say that if there was one thing that I wish that this issue had done was didn't give you any answers. You know, there's still a lot of mystery about Erica's past and the House of Slaughter and what the secret organization is. We really don't know, and we did not get any glimpses into that in this issue, which I'm impatient and want to know. But other than that, I would say super badass. Very, very good issue.
Dope. Well, once everything's done, I'll probably read it.
No. You can catch up at any time and read mine and then just start picking it up.
I don't need to add any more, dude.
I mean,
next week is going to be a reason why I'm not adding. I mean, I'm already adding more. I don't need to add more.
Yeah.
All right. So that is your pick of the week. Something is Killing the Children, number thing. All right. Our last book. So, neither of us are very big DC readers. We don't. It's just not where our focus is. I picked up the Dark Knight's Death Metal series. And so I've been kind of like dipping my toes into some of the tie-ins that are coming out. And I'm really, really, really glad I picked this one up. And this one is not... I've watched other reviews about it. And this one is not for a reader like me. If you do not know your DC history, then you will be lost in this book. And I was lost in this book. But that didn't take away my enjoyment of the book. I feel like I have a little bit of grasp on what's going on because I am reading the Dark Knight's Death Metal. I've read Dark Knight's Metal when it came out. So I have a little bit of grasp of what's going on. And so what we get in this issue is Wonder Woman has basically devised a plan to get everything back to where it was. So our main villain, who is in the shadows, her name is I think Perpetua or something like that. She is like the goddess of all of multiverses. And she survives, she thrives on chaos or crisis energy. And so in order for her to survive, she has to continuously have crisis events. So that's how she gets her energy from. So Wonder Woman basically comes up with a plan to go back in time to hit up 3 crisis events that have happened within the DC universe. And I'm sure you've heard about them, Nate. Like, we've heard about these crisis events. Let's see.
Was it Infinite Crisis?
Infinite Crisis.
Final Crisis,
and...
Flashpoint?
I don't know if it's Flashpoint. I don't know if it's Flashpoint in this book. Let's see. So, you've got Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yep.
You have Final Crisis. And then you have...
Which apparently is not the Final Crisis.
The Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 crises that they're going to go to in order to gather crisis energy in order to deprive it from Perpetua. And Batman goes to the Crisis on Infinite Earth. Superman goes to the Final Crisis. And Wonder Woman goes to the Infinite Crisis. Now again, I have no reading... I don't know what happened in those books. I don't know what happened in those events. I just know epic shifting things happened in those books. Either way, we're dealing with time travel and heist in this book, which I'm always like, sign me up. You know what I mean? So basically what we have is Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman breaking into this version or multiverse where the city of Gotham is technically an evil Batman, a living entity.
What?
Yep. And this was established in the Dark Knights of the Multiverse, and I think I talked about it briefly. Anyway, dude, it's fucking nuts. Like, again, I wasn't gonna pick up this book, but it's so out there. It's so Donny Cates, if you will, that it's just fucking nuts. And so I say what?
I don't know if I go that far.
Dude, it is. And the reason why I tell you this is because there are Batmans that are
dinosaurs and all kinds of
dinosaurs and fucking Robins and Jokers and like they're all over the place, dude. Like they don't give a fuck in this they just don't care in this book.
Let me ask you a quick question though.
Yeah.
Are any of these Batmans and Wonder Womans and Supermans, are they any of those the main characters, like the ones that are ongoing in like Joker War right now? Like the main Rebirth?
That's a Ron question. You're asking the wrong person.
Okay.
So let's see if Ron says yes, but I think they are.
Like, obviously, like, none of these guys on this cover, like, you've got a rock and roll Superman, and then you've got a No,
that Superman is being turned into Darkseid. So he was transforming it. They were transforming him to be the new Darkseid.
Long hair or short hair?
The long-haired one.
Well, okay.
That short-haired one is actually Superboy.
And then the guy behind his shoulder is Darkseid?
There's Darkseid, and then there's Anti-Monitor, I think.
Okay.
So Ron says all these series take place between 2 issues of Justice League last year.
Okay.
It's out there, dude, and that's why I like it. And I know nothing about. I'm not familiar with DC, but this book was so badass. It was so weird, and it's so not DC. Does that make sense?
Is it not though? I mean,
it doesn't feel like it. It feels like Snyder was just like, here we go. I'm gonna take. He goes kind of like Secret Wars taking place between Spider-Man 151 and 152.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
It just feels like Snyder was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna take all this stuff that and I'm just gonna throw it on the wall and just have fun with it. And that's my take on it. And again, I'm not a DC reader, so I would assume a fresh and very naive take. But basically, what happens is they go to these crisis events, and they come to find out that the Joker Who Laughs has already altered these events in his favor. So when they show up to basically win the event's already over, and they've lost. So when they show up to their events, shit's already hit the fan. So, Batman shows up, war's over, or the crisis is over. Superman shows up, Darkseid's taking over the planet. Wonder Woman shows up, Superboy's taking over the planet, and he's evil. I mean, I could be wrong in that part. But all 3 of the heroes are kind of like, wait, this isn't right. This is not how the event is supposed to end. And so that's where we get left off, is all 3 of these heroes are left in these crisis events losing. And they're stuck. They're stuck in these alternate realities.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like, yo, dope. And I've glossed over a bunch of other things, like, some other things happen in the book that are pretty cool, but that's the main draw to it. And then the artwork in the book is really cool. And then I really, really dig this cover. I think this cover is just...
The cover is cool. It's
like literally that was before when Solicitations came out, and I saw the cover, and I was just getting into Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, I'm probably picking that one up because that just looks cool. And it was badass, dude. Like, again, I'm super confused in a lot of the stuff that's going on in it, but it was really enjoyable. It was really fun to read. And so because of that, it's my pick of the week. So that is our run. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Chainsaw of Truth. Like, that sentence does not belong in the DC universe. What does that mean?
Chainsaw of Truth.
So Wonder Woman has converted her lasso of truth into the chainsaw of truth.
I didn't know she had a lasso of truth. Like, it makes people tell the truth or something?
Yeah, dude, you didn't know that? Like every basic comic book reader knows that.
Nope.
You didn't know that?
Didn't know it had anything to do with truth.
Yeah, if you get minutes around you, she can ask you a question and you have to tell the truth.
I've literally never seen anything Wonder Woman ever. No TV shows, no movies, no nothing.
Ron's about to disown you.
I'm sorry, I just don't know DC any. Well, think about it. I got into comics because
You never watched. Okay, hold on. When you were a kid, wait, did you watch cartoons when you were a kid?
Not a lot. No.
You didn't watch Cartoon Network?
No, I hated Cartoon Network.
You never watched Super Friends when they would show it like, hey, we got reruns of old cartoons.
No idea what that is.
Damn, you've never seen Super Friends?
No, I don't even know what that is. Is that a superhero?
Ron, dude, kick this guy out of your store. Don't let him into your store anymore.
Like, I know. I didn't do superheroes and comics and stuff when I was.
Or Justice League, the Justice League cartoon.
No, never. Don't know anything about it.
Okay, well, I got to get through these comments. I'm going to shun you for a minute.
I didn't watch any Marvel stuff though either. I never.
So
watched
now Snyder is. I'm not even listening to you. And now Snyder is now setting up the whole new DC universe coming. You can't go wrong with Chainsaw of Truth. And he goes, the fun part is Wonder Woman's creator is the creator of the lie detector. The lie detector. Yeah, dude, I can't believe you didn't know that. Crazy. Anyway, that's my pick of the week. So we've got Boom Studio. So DC Comics in our finally has become one of our picks of the week. And then any week something is killing the children, it's going to be Nate's pick of the week. It's foregone conclusion.
It's going to be hard not to be. Yeah.
So real quick, we're going to go into next week's polls, and then we're going to call it a night. So I'm going to push my little button here because I've got it now. Boop. Yeah. I've got my poll list up. I don't know. Okay, cool. So you'll let me know what you have that I don't have.
Yeah, I'll just interject when there's something.
Okay. So first pull up is going to be me. It's going to be Amazing Spider-Man: Sin of Norman Osborn #1. So we're going to I think we're going to kind of figure out, where we invented the DIS, the DISC personality test.
Not familiar.
So we're going into, I kind of alluded to it. I think we're going to get more of the Spider-Verse getting absolved into the Sin Eater storyline in that book. And then a book that we have next coming up that we are both pulling, that we both were kind of, we both jumped into. We did not know what we were going to get, and we're going to get Big Girls too. Super excited about that. And then I think we finally get our real first, because it's in the description of the book, we get our first real prelude to Ten of Swords in Excalibur 12. So we're finally going to get some movement into this. This is our next Marvel event. I know me and Nate are both super excited about it. So I'm excited about that, but I'm excited about all these books that are going to be on our list, to be absolutely honest.
So this one actually does have a different headline as well, like the little tab that's on the cover page.
Yeah,
it actually is like red and says Ten of Swords prelude.
Ten of Swords. So we're actually getting like a prelude chapter.
Not path to Ten of Swords.
We are in it, yeah. So then the next one, which is the end of the Giant Size for Hickman, is Giant Size X-Men Storm #1. Giant Size kicked off with her getting infected from the Children of the Vault. So we'll finally kind of see where we're going with that. Hopefully we're not going to get another Giant Size Magneto, which I was kind of disappointed in that one. And so I'm really hoping we kind of see where we're going here. I mean, we got a little road into this issue with the Phantom X, so hopefully we get some really cool shit in here. I'm looking forward to that. Then we get Hellions #4. I think we're gonna get the Goblin Queen probably invading Krakoa, maybe.
Also, the art in that Storm issue, I think is going to be really badass. You got
hell yeah,
Russell Dowderman.
You don't think it's going to be? It's not going to be another silent issue, though. You don't think?
No, I don't think it's supposed to be. I'm just saying Russell Dowderman's a badass. I like his stuff a lot.
Oh yeah.
Kings and stuff, or not War of Realms. That's what I'm trying to say.
War of Realms. So we get Hellions #4. I think we're going to get a possible Madeline Pryor getting ready to invade Krakoa, but then it's going to be halted at the last second so we can get into the Ten of Swords. So we'll see how that goes. And then we get Immortal Hulk number 0. We get a story about the real Brian Banner, Bruce Banner's father. Should be interesting.
What a jerk.
What a jerk. And then we get Immortal Hulk 37. We get Dr. Fry coming out of his tube. See how that goes. That's going to be fun. I love, outside of this story for Immortal Hulk, you cannot go wrong with an Alex Ross cover. Nope. You just can't. They're just fucking great. They're classics. And then next up is Iron Man number 1, which is that an Alex Ross cover too? I believe it is. Anyway, Iron Man number this one. On the fence with it. Well, Iron Man number 1. All I've heard is it's back to basics. Throw out all the bullshit. Get back to Tony Stark and being Iron Man. So that's what I've heard. I'm super excited about it. Iron Man is my number 2 when it comes to favorite characters. So super excited about that. Then we got 7 Secrets number 2. I'm ready for it.
Even though we got a preview, I actually decided to wait so I could read it physically.
Same thing. I did the same thing. We did get a preview for number 2, but we didn't read it, and we're ready for it. You know, we're sitting on that cliffhanger, like, what was next? And again, if you're not picking up Boom Studio books, you should do it anyway. But we do get this is a key issue. We're actually going to get a character. I think it's Casper, is what I've been told. So pick it up. It's a key issue. We've got high hopes for Boom. Me and Nate both sent in our number 1s to get CGC graded. Fingers crossed. We're not going to say anything. Don't. You got it. All right. So next is Star Wars Darth Vader number 5. If this book doesn't do it for me, I think I'm dropping the series after this.
Yeah.
That's me personally. But I have a feeling it's going to.
I also have just regular Star Wars number 6.
Which you liked issue 5, right? You were all about it.
Really, yeah. Issue 5 was really good. I feel like it's been way longer than a month since we've had an issue of this.
Yeah, it does feel that long.
I'm excited to see where we're going with this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going into the Tomb of Padme, and they're even saying it's a terrible climax. So, hey, in the preview, you're hyping it up, so you better keep it. It better be the hype train. Better be real. Next up, Thor number 7. Yes.
Thor 7. We're gonna start a bullshit storyline that no one cares about.
Oh my god, dude! Shut up! Fucking Comic Gate over here, right there. All right.
One that you don't have that I have is Stillwater number 1.
So you say that you don't, but I basically told Ron that I want to pick it up because I want to pick up Stillwater 1 by Chip Zdarsky because Venom 28 has been pushed back to next week, or not this coming week, but next week. And I believe it's because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but I believe it's because they just don't want 2 Donny Cates books being released side by side. I think they're both going to be epic books, and why would you want to throw 2 punches? You know what I mean? Like, give us some time for each issue to breathe.
Sure.
So Venom 28 has been pushed back. So Stillwater, yes, I will be picking up this week, even though it's not on my pull list. So I'm excited about that because Chip Zdarsky is the man. Next is X-Men number 12, Prelude to Ten of Swords Part 2. So we get 2 Prelude chapters next week from the Ten of Swords storyline. Very intrigued. I love Hickman. This shit's going to be good. You know it is. I'm super excited, dude. I'm just ready for Ten of Swords. And you know what it is? It's also, I'm super excited because Empire was, and I hate to say this, I don't want to be with this guy, but I just feel like Ten of Swords was just, it was such a let, or no, I'm sorry, not Ten of Swords. Empire was such a letdown. And outside of the 2 issues, the 3 issues that we reviewed tonight, it was kind of a letdown. So I've got Ten of Swords on this pedestal, and I probably shouldn't do that, but I'm putting it on this pedestal that, like, I want it to fucking bang. So here we go. And then last but not least for me, I've got X-Men Marvel Snapshots number 1. I initially picked up this series again because it's an Alex Ross cover, but I have been pleasantly surprised with the stories that have been in the one shots. They've always been amazing. They've always been heartfelt. The art has always been badass, and it always gives me just a little bit more insight into Marvel history and the characters. And I think that's a really cool thing to have for me, kind of like Spark Notes, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just nice to have a story that isn't always just blah, blah, blah. It's got some history behind it, and it's got some heart behind it, and that's what these issues are. And you can't go wrong with a Pepto-Bismol pink with Cyclops doing the beam, dude.
I have not picked up any of these snapshots so far.
For shame.
Well, but I'm definitely picking this one up, but not because of a particular love for X-Men or Cyclops or anything, but because of who's writing it. This is going to be the Marvel debut of Jay Edidin. He's one of the podcast hosts of Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men, which is one of the greatest podcasts I've ever listened to. And if you want to know X-Men history, they literally have been going through X-Men from X-Men number 1, 1960, whatever, 63, 64, all the way to modern present. And they started in 2014, and in 2020, they just now got past Age of Apocalypse in 1995. So they go very in depth. They get a ton of writers on the show. I think a lot of modern writers too. Jerry Duggan's been on there. I can't think of it. Anyway, I really like Jay Edidin. I like his style. I like his writing. I like his podcast. So I definitely want to pick up this book for his debut.
Nice. And I will tell you, out of all the snapshots that have come out, I think I would highly recommend picking up the Captain America one shot. Do it, dude. No,
I hate Captain America. Gross.
You should pick it up. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, because it's not, again, these snapshots aren't heavy on the character that's in there. They're just part of the storyline. And I'm telling you, the Captain America one shot is really fun. You know what? I'll let you borrow it. And you can read it, and then you'll be like, damn, I gotta go pick that up. I guarantee you you'll pick it up. So we have 15 books total that we're going to be talking about next week. we gotta put a timer on our books next week, because we're gonna be on late. One little thing we're gonna talk about before we yeah, no shit, right, Jamie? Nate hates America.
Let's not get on that topic.
Oh my god. Anyway, we're gonna talk about this really quick before we split. So Marvel, outside of I think basically Ten of Swords, they will be putting a dedication to Chadwick Boseman on the top of each Marvel comic book, which I think is pretty kick-ass. I mean, I know they did that for Stan Lee, rightfully so, and so they're gonna do it for our king. So it's going to say rest in power. That's so kick-ass. I think that's so badass that they're going to put that on all the comics for Marvel.
That's really cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, it still kind of hits home. It really sucks that he's gone. And, I don't give a shit about the movies. It just sucks that somebody with such immense respect and such grace passed away. It just puts a fucking shitty stamp on 2020, man. But anyway, again, I think it's cool that any Marvel comic you pick up in 2 weeks, because I don't think they're doing it next week. Could be wrong on that, but they're going to be putting a Chadwick Boseman rest in power banner on top of the comic, so that's going to be really cool to have in your collection, just kind of sitting on the top of your comics. So pretty stoked about that. Also, if you're looking for any kind of exclusive comic covers that are coming out, check out Brainy Comics over at Collected. Ron is constantly getting store exclusives through that site, and they vary. I mean, some are $6, some are 60. They go all over the place, but me and Nate both have picked up exclusive variant covers on Brainy from Ron, and they never disappoint. I think the last one we got was Thor 6. Cosmic Ghost Rider, or I'm not Cosmic Ghost Rider. It was Silver Surfer Black.
Yeah, the
So
Kyle Hotz or
yeah, Kyle Hotz, and I think he has a. I think
I was trying to think of the artist name, Kyle Hotz or Hotz.
Yeah, this is the cover that for Juggernaut that he did that Ron's getting as a store exclusive. So, go over there, check it out, see if you see anything you like.
I thought it was the other one.
I believe it's this. I think it's both. I think he's doing this one and
Make sure
this one.
Because I know he's doing the one. Yeah, okay.
I think there's two. But anyway, he's got some Ten of Swords ones up there.
I'm going website right now just to check.
Yeah, he's got some Ten of Swords ones that I've already. Yeah, Kirkman.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up some Ten of Swords. 1 in 10 or 2 in 10 per store. And he's got some kick-ass ones on there. So go give that, check it out. If you see anything you like, pick something up. You can just buy it straight there, and then he'll have it delivered to the store, and you can pick it up then when it comes out. Other than that, that's all we got tonight. Again, go support your LCS. There's Collected in Fort Worth with Ron's store, or Brent's got one up in near Keller. And there's plenty of other stores in DFW that are also fantastic. Duncan Billbook store, Red Pegasus in Dallas, Zeus. There's a ton of them. And if you're not in the DFW area, Google it, find yourself an LCS, and start reading some comics, because, god damn it, it's fun. It's just fun. Again, and also, when you're out doing your shopping, please wear a mask, and also, for God's sakes, go vote. Early vote. Whatever you got to do, just go vote. We'll talk to you later, boys and girls.
Bye-bye.
Later.